Welcome back to the Pragmatism USA podcast. Today's episode is called The Woke and the Cloak. And I'm going to get into that in a second because this is about the horrible George Floyd murder, let's call it what it is, and the aftermath of it. But today, we're going to start a new feature on the Pragmatism USA podcast called the Rat of the Day. And this is mostly going to be reserved for politicians because that is the group of people that is particularly revolting in America and ruining the country. And we keep putting them in power, unbelievably. And sometimes we will be talking about lobbyists as well, and media members and other people who are influencing politicians. And we can have a lot of repeat guests. I'm guessing that Joe Biden and Donald Trump are going to be on this list quite a bit. But let's talk about today, the rat of the day, and that is Andrew Cuomo. People are acting like Andrew Cuomo is some kind of folk hero. Are you out of your minds? I understand that there is always this tendency to believe that the leader in the middle of a crisis should be given some kind of leeway in dealing with that crisis. And this particularly seems to be the case in New York, where Rudy Giuliani got a lot of credit, undeserved credit after 9/11, basically for just being present. He was the mayor, and apparently he was America's mayor, which I always thought was a horse crap line. This guy was never America's mayor. But he was present, so he got all kinds of credit. And now the same effect is being applied to Andrew Cuomo, the governor of New York. We see him as some kind of a coronavirus warrior who's keeping the people of New York safe, even though the rates of coronavirus infections in New York are outrageous. It's about time that people recognize just how corrupt Andrew Cuomo is, and that really he's not doing anything to protect people from COVID-19 infections and from the failures of the liabilities that should come, or from the failures that should be punished when hospitals and nursing homes actually are responsible for injury and death to people who are suffering from COVID-19. Let's take a look at an article from The Guardian, which I think really does exceptional work. Quote, as Governor Andrew Cuomo faced a spirited challenge in his bid to win New York's 2018 Democratic primary, his political apparatus got a last-minute boost. A powerful healthcare industry group suddenly poured more than $1 million into a Democratic committee backing his campaign. They bought him. Let's call what this is. It's not a campaign donation. It's a sale. And Andrew Cuomo was the person who was up for sale, and he went to the highest bidder. You don't think these people got something in return for $1 million? Well, then, folks, you don't understand how American politics works. Because they sure as hell did get something. Because not only has there been an ongoing kind of little giveaway of goodies to the healthcare industry, but it really started paying off right now in 2020. When the American people need a protector, and instead what they get is a fraudster. From The Guardian, less than 2 years after that flood of cash from the Greater New York Hospital Association, Cuomo signed legislation last month quietly shielding hospital and nursing home executives from the threat of lawsuits stemming from the coronavirus outbreak. The provision, inserted into an annual budget bill by Cuomo's aides, created one of the nation's most explicit immunity protections for healthcare industry officials, according to legal experts. So much for liberal politicians really fighting for the people. No, he was fighting for money. Because that's really what governs American politics. It is the sick oil, the blood of American politics. And we should have seen this coming. We should have known it. Quote, the new law declares that top officials at hospital and nursing home companies, quote, shall have immunity from any liability, civil or criminal, for any harm or damages alleged to have been sustained as a result of an act or omission in the course of arranging for or providing healthcare services to address the COVID-19 outbreak. And you may think, well, what's wrong with that? There shouldn't be any profiteering off of COVID-19. No, there should not be, including by the governor of New York. But don't you want to hold people accountable if they're negligent or reckless in the way that they treat people who are suffering from coronavirus? That's what lawsuits are about. That's what medical malpractice lawsuits are about. Or is it okay that someone is just negligent or reckless or indifferent and kills someone or maims someone and you don't want to go after them? Now, I understand nobody wants an ambulance chaser. Just to be clear, as an attorney, I'm not a personal injury attorney. My job is representing special needs kids. But just to be clear that I'm not particularly biased on this issue. My partner is a personal injury attorney. But even then, I can see a lot of the good that is being done because, folks, if these companies are not liable for actually killing and maiming people that they are treating, then what incentive do they have to not kill and maim people? Oh, you're going to say what? The goodness of their hearts? They're healthcare executives. They're insurance executives. What hearts are we talking about? These people are crap. This is Andrew Cuomo. This is the tip of the iceberg. You can keep reading about this. This guy is not a hero to anyone but the healthcare industry and anyone else who pays him. What, you think he's your friend just because he has a D behind his name? No. He's your enemy regardless of political affiliation. He's your enemy because he's corrupt. And it doesn't matter whether he's a Republican or a Democrat. And I'd be saying the same damn thing about Republicans because they're having the same conversation right now in Congress about having national immunity. Because they're corrupt too. And these are the people that you put into the office. It's got to end. It's got to end. But it's got to start with recognizing that these people are corrupt and they are not your friends. Let's move on. I called today's episode The Woke and the Cloak. And I'll describe why I called it that. I got to tell you, I'm really angry right now. Today is May 28th. And I'm pissed off about a lot of things. I think a lot of Americans are pissed off about a lot of things, and for good reason. And I think black people are especially pissed off about a lot of things, and for really good reason. If anyone should be really pissed in this country right now, it's black and brown people. I totally get it. I'm pissed about coronavirus. I'm pissed about the economic impact of coronavirus. I'm pissed about Donald Trump because I'm always pissed off about Donald Trump because he's such a piece of garbage. I'm pissed off about Amy Cooper because she thinks it's perfectly okay to tell a black man or to lie about a black man assaulting her in Central Park and then issuing a half-hearted garbage apology focused almost exclusively on her and hardly at all on the life of the man that she was trying to ruin with lies. I'm pissed off about the woke because they always have such bad arguments. And when they think they're doing good, they're really doing a hell of a lot of harm. And I'm really, really pissed off about the murder of George Floyd. And America should be really pissed off about the murder of George Floyd. Black people especially are pissed off and have every right to be. Brown people are pissed off and have every right to be. But white people should be pissed off, and it doesn't matter whether you're a Democrat or Republican, because the problem is that we have police behaving like a bunch of reckless thugs and murdering people, especially black people, for nothing. I'm going to focus for a second on George Floyd. Today, I had my morning meditation. I don't know if you've noticed this, but I'm wired a little bit tight. Okay? I'm not an angry person going around. I just am fueled by the injustices that we see in the United States every day, and I want to do something about them. And you, as Americans, should want to do something about them as well, and it pisses me off. So I had to meditate this morning, and I try to meditate when I can in the mornings to have some form of restraint. It doesn't always work. I'm going to tell you that right now because I still get pissed off. And I sat there for my meditation. I couldn't finish my meditation because it was a terrible meditation, because I had the image of Derek Chauvin, one of the 4 cops who restrained George Floyd in Minneapolis. I had the image of him calmly resting his knee on George Floyd's throat and neck like nothing was happening. It wasn't done out of anger. It was calm. It was deliberate. It was purposeful. Like nothing was happening. Like he was ordering a coffee at Starbucks. And as I was meditating, I just had this image in my head, and the cries of George Floyd for his mother, and the pained cries of him saying, "Officer, please, I can't breathe." And Chauvin just digging his knee completely unnecessarily into George Floyd, who was not a threat, who was not resisting, who was not doing anything but being black. Now, I understand the police were called and he was accused of forgery, but forgery shouldn't be a damn death sentence. We have a legal process in this country. And Chauvin stripped him of that, and 3 other cops, 3 lawless cowards, who were sworn to protect people and uphold the law. Not one of them had the balls to step into Derek and say, "Hey, tap out. You're done." They just watched him murder the guy. They just watched him murder this poor guy. The problem that we have here is the polluted culture of police. And they're acting under the cloak of authority. Why do police behave this way? It's not just because a lot of them are racist. I don't believe all of them are racist. But I believe a lot of them are racist because I believe a lot of people are racist. I'm racist. I am a white man who grew up in the United States. Of course, I harbor racist beliefs. I'm not proud of it. I work on it every day, but it's a constant goddamn struggle. And you gotta be honest with yourself. If you are a white person who grew up in the United States, you're gonna harbor some racist beliefs. That's always going to be the case, and cops are no different. Good or bad. But what makes cops behave worse? When they're acting under the cloak of authority, when they know nothing's going to happen to me. How many cops have killed people and gotten their jobs back? How many cops have beaten the living hell out of people and gotten their jobs back? How many cops have been completely unprofessional and gotten their jobs back? And the law makes it so difficult to prosecute cops. How many of them have committed outright murder against black and brown people and didn't spend a day in jail? Now I keep hearing, well, Derek Chauvin, he's got to experience justice. I don't think it's going to happen. Yeah, I think he's going to get charged. I think he's going to get charged at least with manslaughter, and he absolutely should be, because Derek Chauvin and his 3 buddies all belong inside of a goddamn jail cell. They all belong in prison, all of them. But I have so little faith in the American justice system to actually put them where they belong. And you should have little faith as well, because the system is gamed that way. The legal standards are so tough that if a cop can say, well, I believed I was in fear of my life, then that's okay. You can use justifiable deadly force. That's all these guys have to say. Well, you know, golly gee whiz, George Floyd was really big and he was strong. Okay, and I thought that I was going to die. Okay, doesn't matter how irrational, how ridiculous, how downright idiotic that thought is. But folks, I got bad news for you. Darren Showman is probably going to walk, because most cops do, especially if they're white cops killing black people. That's the nature of justice in America. And as long as they continue to act under the cloak of authority, this is going to continue to be a problem. And I foresee it being a problem for a very long, long time. Think about the power that police have. The individual cop on the street has more power than any person in America. Now, you may think, oh, that's crazy. The president, the Congress, the Supreme Court, blah, blah, blah. No, I'm not talking about in a large sense. I'm just talking about in a small sense. You get pulled over, you think about what a cop can do to you, especially if there's no video. Not to say that they behave well when there is video. They don't really care because they know that they're still under the cloak of government protection. But think about it. And these are things that they have done. They've killed people. They've beaten people. They've planted drugs on people. They've lied repeatedly about someone resisting arrest. They can affect your entire life at a moment's notice. And they can especially do it if you're black or brown. And we keep seeing this over and over and over again in the United States. We need to actually restrain police power in this country. That's not a liberal position. It's a conservative position. If you think about the nature at its root of conservatism, before it got polluted in the last several years, last several decades, and especially by Donald Trump, who's not even conservative. I don't know what the hell to call him. But at its root, conservatism has as one of its fundamental ideas a skepticism of state power. And what greater power is there than police power? We've got to restrict this power. It is a tremendous power that officers have. And yet officers are allowed to do virtually anything they want. That's a problem. That requires restraint. We give them a great deal of authority. We need to properly regulate them. We're not doing that right now. Very few cops actually face accountability for anything that they do. And it's much, much worse for black people than it is white people. Today, I called a friend of mine, and we went to high school together. I've known him for about 30 years. And he's a black gentleman, and he's also a man of faith. And because he's one of my black friends, and whenever these racial issues come up and I want to vocalize them and discuss them, he's one of the people I really go to. Also, he's much more level-headed than I am. And he can look at things both because he is more level-headed and because he's very intelligent and because he's black in a way that's much different than I can. And in some respects, I hate going to him because I know that no one black person is the representative or the spokesperson for all black people. But I think we have to have conversations with each other and have conversations with people who are different from us. So I call my friend up. His name is Ren. And I said, Ren, help me understand this. Just help me make sense of this George Floyd thing. And we're talking, and I'm listening. Okay? And I'm a talker, so it takes a lot for me to restrain myself and actually listen to someone. But Ren's got a lot of really good things to say. And he asked me something. He says, what are you really afraid of? I said, well, I don't know. I mean, I'm afraid of the world that my kids are going to grow up in. He says, yeah, but that's a generalized fear. That's many years from now. What are you really afraid of? I said, well, I'm a lawyer. I'm afraid of disbarment. I'm afraid of screwing up a client's case. I'm afraid of being sued for malpractice. Yeah, but, let me ask you something. Are you worried that any of those things are going to result in your death? I said, no, of course not. I've got insurance, okay? I try to do good work for people, and, I try to be diligent. And he says, every time that I am pulled over by the police, I'm worried that I may die. I've never had that feeling being pulled over by the police. And the reason that I've never had that feeling being pulled over by the police is because I'm white. And Ren explained to me, and I absolutely believe him, that the reason he does have that feeling is because he's black. Now, I will never understand that. On an intellectual level, I can understand that. And I can tell Ren, yeah, I get it, but really I don't. I have no idea what that's like. You know, I drive fast. It's one of the things that I do because I'm so high strung. I like driving fast, and I've gotten speeding tickets. But you know, whenever I've been pulled over by the police, I thought the worst thing I'm going to do here is get a ticket, and my insurance is going to go up. And you know, I've gotten into it with police before, but I never worried that they were going to beat the hell out of me or kill me. But Ren is explaining to me that as a black man, it makes no difference whether he's arguing with the police, whether he's respectful to the police, whether he even violated the law at all. Every single time he has an interaction with the police, he's scared that he may die. I can only imagine what that's like, and I can't do a very good job of that because I have nothing like that in my life. There's no situation where I think, you know, right now I'm about to die, or I could die here. But Ren and every other black person in America is absolutely justified in feeling that way because it's happened so many times. And black people are pissed, and I completely get it. I get it. Something has to be done. But it starts with the acknowledgement that police have too much protections in our society. They have this cloak that shields them from any kind of responsibility for their behavior. And especially when it's a white cop on a black man, it's much easier for them to justify their conduct. There's something deeply wrong with that. Folks, we've really gone off the rails as a country when black and brown people have to worry that they're going to die at the hands of the people that we have entrusted to protect us as a society. Something's wrong. Something is systemically wrong. Something is fundamentally wrong at the core of American society when this is the kind of crap that happens. And yes, something has to be done. But what? And I'm going to tell you right now, I have no goddamn idea. I don't know. And I think about this a lot, and I read about this a lot, and I discuss this with people. But what do you do? Okay. We thought, okay, we're going to have cops wear cameras. And that'll make them behave right. They don't care. Oftentimes, they don't even put the cameras on. And that should be a fireable offense automatically. You have an interaction with a member of the public and your camera isn't on, hit the bricks, pal. You are out of here. I'm going to assume that you did something wrong and get your ass out of here and don't come back. And we thought, well, if people are videotaping them, then that'll get them to behave better. George Floyd was murdered in broad daylight with numerous witnesses and numerous people videotaping. It didn't matter. The cop, Derek Chauvin, is there calmly with his knee pressed against his throat. Everyone is watching this, and it doesn't matter. The video makes no difference. And we have these citizen review boards who are worthless for the most part and barely hold cops accountable. Something has to be done because what we are doing right now is not working. It is quite simply not working. But I know what shouldn't be done. And this is when I'm going to get into the woke. I got a real problem with the woke because we have a lot of young people and older people, not as much, who are going around competing with themselves as to who can be more woke. Because they're down for the cause. Well, the cause is justice. And yes, it is justice for black people and brown people and minorities. But the overall cause is justice. It's societal justice. You want to call me an SJW, a social justice warrior, whatever, I don't give a damn. But I'll tell you what, I'm not woke. I'm not going to go and blindly believe that everything that people support as it pertains to the black community is ultimately okay, because not everything is. Folks, I get the black anger. I totally get it. It is justifiable. And I understand the desire to do something, but you can't just do anything. Let's take a look at the riots that are taking place in Minneapolis right now. We're on day 3. And the riots have spread to other places as well, including Los Angeles, and here where I live, there was a shooting in Denver during a protest. I don't know whether it was related. Either way, a lot of people are pissed off, and I get it. But rioting, looting, destruction? I'm sorry, I can't go along with that. I can't go along with that. And if that means I'm not woke, fine. And if you want to call me white privileged, fine. I'd agree anyway. And if you want to call me racist, fine. I'd agree anyway. I certainly do harbor racist beliefs. You can call me whatever the hell you want, but I draw the line at violence, because I don't believe that the response to violence should be more violence. I can't get into that. At least one man was fatally shot in Minnesota. Evidently the person's a looter themselves. Now some of you are going to say, well, he was looting, he deserves to be shot. Well, just as I don't think forgery should be a death sentence, I don't think looting should be a death sentence. I don't think the person should have been looting. I get it. But I also don't think the person should have died. I believe in a proportional response. There's been a Target that was destroyed, and some people are saying, oh, well, who cares? It's just a corporate Target. I don't give a damn about the CEO of Target. I don't give a damn about the executives at Target, but I sure as hell care about the people who are working at that Target. Because some of them are making $12, $13 an hour, and a lot of them are immigrants, and a lot of them are poor, and a lot of them are black. And they have no job to return to tomorrow. And they're going to apply for unemployment benefits, and they're going to be waiting weeks for those unemployment benefits. And then they're going to need another job, and where in the hell are they going to get it when 40 million Americans are unemployed? When you picked up that brick and hurled it through a Target, did you think about that? That the guy running the Target, or the woman running the Target, or the corporate CEO doesn't give a shit, okay? But the person working there certainly does. You've had unrest in 20 different parts of the city. The city is up in chaos. Is that a good thing? People can't live that way. And a lot of those people are innocent. And a lot of them are black and brown and Asian and Middle Eastern and white. And they're scared. Because you're tearing apart the city. And they have every right to be scared. One news report. Quote, early Thursday, city and law enforcement officials were still tallying the full toll of the night, which saw at least 5 people struck by gunfire. One fatally when the owner of a pawn shop opened fire on a man he believed was burglarizing his business. Dozens of businesses were either looted or torched, or both, mostly in the area of Minnehaha Avenue and East Lake Street, but also business corridors on the city's north and south sides. How many of those businesses were small businesses? It's not just an AutoZone or a Wendy's or a Target. This is someone's entire life. And you're over there thinking, well, I'm fighting for George Floyd. And the person who has the dry cleaners or the auto repair shop and is just a blue collar worker is thinking, I have nothing to do with it. Why did you ruin my life? They might have even supported you. They may be just as appalled by what happened to George Floyd as you are. They may be on your side, or at least they were, before you burned their business down to the ground, their livelihood down to the ground, destabilized their entire life, their family. You think that's okay because of your political cause? And you want me to defend that because I'm quote unquote woke? I don't give a damn. You can call me a racist and call anyone else a racist. I'm not going to defend that because it's indefensible. Not all things are defensible in the name of protest. There's got to be some goddamn limits out there. And violence is where you draw the line. Another report. Vandals broke into Chicago Lake Liquor and also shattered a few windows at the Midtown Market down the block. It's a liquor store. This is a grocery store. What does a liquor store have to do with social justice? A grocery store, people need to eat. They also targeted businesses along West Broadway Avenue, North Minneapolis' main commercial drag, and in the Uptown area. Several pharmacies were reportedly burglarized, with suspects fleeing with handfuls of prescription pill bottles. What does that have to do with social justice? I'm supposed to say, hooray for you because you're running out of a pharmacy with a handful of stolen narcotics? But you're really fighting for the memory of George Floyd? Bullshit! A Target and Cub Foods anchoring the corner of East Lake Street and Hiawatha Avenue were looted, along with other small businesses, including Minnehaha Lake Wine and Spirits. Flames and smoke shot into the air when a nearby AutoZone auto parts store was set ablaze. As some protesters tried to put out the fire, others danced gleefully in front of it, snapping selfies. Why don't you go straight to goddamn hell with your selfies? How about that? You're torching a grocery store? Folks, a lot of people are poor. A lot of people in the black community and the Latino community and the poor communities, they rely on grocery stores close to them. We talk about food deserts. Now they got to get in their car, spend gas money, and drive away somewhere and shop over there. Oh, wait, some of them can't because the AutoZone is broken too. And they can't get parts for their cars. So they got to go and get a bus pass and ride through a city that is on fire and expose their life to risk because you're rioting and you're celebrating it with your stupid ass selfies. This isn't a joke. This isn't a game, and this certainly isn't social justice. This is violence, and it's stupid, and it's reckless, and it's dumb, and it's wrong. And there's no way to justify it. And if you try to justify it, you're not woke, you're just an asshole. At that point, take your woke ass to bed. Maybe at least there you can't do any damage. And I don't give a damn whether it's a white person or a black person or a brown person doing it. And I've seen pictures of all of them doing it through Minneapolis. You're all wrong. I'm not saying you're bad people, but you're doing bad things. And you're destroying your city. And you're destroying the lives of the people who live there. It's not just property, it's people. It's people's lives. Think about what you're doing, for God's sakes. How's that honoring the memory of George Floyd? And all you're doing is subjecting the police to come and rain down upon you. And you're exposing yourself to more violence. Because many of these police have been just waiting to tee off on black people and brown people. And you're giving them everything that they want. Think about what you are doing. A child reacts. An adult has to think about what they're actually doing. The National Guard has been called out. What do you think is going to happen when the military, which is what the National Guard is, comes in there? You think they're going to say, oh, pretty please with the cherry on top, come with us? No. A lot of people are going to get their asses kicked and a lot of people are going to die. Unnecessarily. And a lot of people are going to suffer and a lot of people are really scared. Now I'm going to quote from the National Review. Now a few words first about the National Review. It's a conservative paper. We should be reading legitimate conservative sources. Now, to an extent, The National Review at least has some legitimacy, I guess, among conservative sources. I mean, especially to One American Network or InfoWars or Fox News. This is the best that I can do. But you know what? Even though the National Review is wrong a lot, even a broken clock is right twice a day. And when you are on the wrong side of the National Review, then folks, you are really wrong. Because the National Review writes some really stupid shit. 90% of the time. 10% of the time it actually writes something intelligent, and this is part of that 10% of the time. Quote, in the coming days, a lot of people will seek to conflate the public anger at the Minneapolis Police Department with the rioters and vice versa. Those who want to excuse the inexcusable rioters will insist that their actions were an unavoidable natural reaction to outrageous police conduct. Those who wish to nullify the arguments of critics of the police, and perhaps, in their minds, partially defend the reputation of the officers or just police forces in general, will paint the Minneapolis African American community as inherently violent beyond reason, a group that requires particularly rough tactics in enforcing the law. Both of those arguments are nonsense. Don't let one person's wrong action justify another. Folks, that's absolutely correct. You want to tell me that black people are angry and have every right to be angry? I'm with you. Because hell yes, something needs to be done. But you want to tell me now's the time to riot? No, I'm good. You're on your own. And yeah, you're going to have a lot of racist bastards out there who are going to say, oh, you know, there it is. There's those black bastards out there. There's those Mexican illegal bastards out there. And the police have to go in there heavy-handed and they have to show them who's boss. And a lot of the cops are going to agree with them. And a lot of people are going to suffer. Unnecessarily. Because this is inevitable. This is what happens when you rely on violence to solve problems. We did this before. We had the Ferguson riots. We had the Rodney King riots. What did they solve? Did policing get better? Did policing really get better after the Rodney King riots? I don't think so. And look, I'm not more outraged by the violence that followed police conduct than I am by the police conduct. I'm going to be bothered by this police conduct for a really long time. That image of Derek Chauvin killing that poor man is so awful. It is just the encapsulation of human cruelty. But I'm sorry, I can't sit here and tell you that the response to human cruelty is the infliction of human suffering. That's not the way it's supposed to work. I am with black folks and brown folks in whatever they want to do to the police, short of violence. That's where it stops. You want to imprison them? I'm okay. You want to change their policies? I'm okay. You want to dismantle their union? I'm okay. You want to lock them up? I'm okay. You want to disrespect them at every turn? I'm okay. But violence? That's a bridge too far. That's a bridge too far, folks. And the police need to be controlled. All of those things have to be done. Okay? Gutting their unions, which are overly protective of them, yes. Police should be personally held responsible for the violence that they caused that is unjustified. Not just their departments, but you go into their bank accounts for what they're doing. You go right after their houses for what they're doing. You want to get aggressive and restrain police? I'm all for it. Legally, not violently. Because when you do it violently, think about what you're enabling. Mayhem. You're saying that violence is somehow justifiable, acceptable. Do you really want to go down that road? Violent societies are not successful societies. The United States right now is a dysfunctional society specifically because it relies on violence, not because it lacks violence. We suffer from an excess of violence. And more of it is not going to be the solution to anything. And what is violence? It is just reactionary. It flames up hard, fast, aggressively, and then it blows out quickly and is forgotten. Poof. Violence is no substitute for sustained activism, sustained efforts. Yes, race is an issue. In fact, race is the issue. American black and brown folks are the recipients of police brutality and police injustice because they are black and brown. They experience things that we as white people will not experience. And it sucks. And it's wrong. And it's unjust. But destroying things is no substitute for good government. Destroying things is no substitute for good government. It's not going to accomplish anything. You really think that Mitch McConnell is going to lose one wink of sleep over what's going on in Minneapolis? How about Amy Klobuchar? She's the senator from Minnesota. Yeah, I get it she's from Minnesota. She's in Washington most of the time, collecting your corporate donations. Sure, living in a neighborhood that I'm sure not too many black people live in. You think she gives a damn? Oh, sure. On some surface intellectual level, she cares, I guess. But really? You think Donald Trump is going to lose a wink of sleep over this? And I'm hearing from some people, oh, well, now the Justice Department has said that this investigation in Minneapolis is going to be their top priority. If you believe that, you're an idiot. Do you really think the Trump stooges are going to take any civil rights investigation involving black people seriously? No! Trump's going to tweet out about this. The Department of Justice is going to have a dog and pony show, and ultimately they're not going to do a damn thing. Nothing good is going to come of this because it's not sustained effort. It's a flashpoint. That's it. Pick up a bottle, hurl the bottle, get arrested, go home. Nothing's changed. Sustained effort to get the rats out of the office that they're holding. What has Amy Klobuchar done as senator and before as a prosecutor to actually enhance racial justice in Minneapolis? What has Donald Trump done? What have your local representatives and senators done? What have your city council people done in Minnesota? This crap that is taking place with police is the result of bad governance. Get the rats the hell out of there. Change your government. Start holding police accountable. Start throwing them in jail. And then you're doing something productive. It always comes back to good government. Throwing bottles is not good government. Make the government scared of you. They're not scared of your bottles. They're not scared of your fires. They're not scared of your sticks. Because they got police. And the police have all of that stuff. And they're going to use it to beat the hell out of you. You know what they're scared of? Losing their elected office. They're not scared of you because they know that you keep voting for them over and over and over again. Because Republicans say the Democrats are the problem, and Democrats say Republicans are the problem, when they're the problem and you're the problem because you keep putting these idiots into office and expecting different results after they screw you over and over and over again. And if you stay home and you don't kick these people out of the office, then shut up. Because you're part of the problem as well. That's it for today. Please follow us on Pragmatism USA 76 on Twitter and Instagram. PragmatismUSA.com. Still working on updating the website. The Pragmatism USA channel on YouTube. And you can email me at Igor, I-G-O-R, at pragmatismusa.com. Next time, I guess I'll try to be less angry, although I make no promises. I'll most likely fail. There's a lot of things to be angry about in America right now. And if you're not angry, you're not paying attention. Thank you.